morning, good evening, and good night. Welcome to the SCP tier list. In today's video, we're going to be going over SCP, some of the most popular ones, some of the scariest ones, some of the little bit more overrated ones. And we're going to be ranking them and talking a little bit about them. Hopefully you sit back on your couch, on your bed, on a chair, on the plane, I don't care. Just sit back, enjoy yourselves, grab a bite to eat, because it's going to be a slightly long video with this one. We're going to be enjoying some nice SCP gameplay that you can enjoy. The YouTuber who did it is in the link in the description down below, and the music as well will be in the link in the description down below if you choose to listen to it. But without further ado, we're going to go over the first one that we're going to be talking about today. SCP-173, the statue. The most popular, the most famous SCP. I think he's become pretty much iconic in its own right. You know, it's a hostile, sentient, humanoid-looking statue made out of rebar and concrete. It's, you know, it's an SCP. Everybody has seen this SCP before. If you played the game Containment Breach, it's the main one that you see, and I don't think there's too much to this SCP that I think it makes it really like out there in terms of ideas. I like the design of it. The design of it looks pretty cool, even though he has like a piece, like the design of it's really cool, like just a disgusting looking like concrete thing. That part of it looks really cool, but the thing is that it's pretty basic, done to death almost idea of like the same idea, the weeping angels. If you turn away, the monster comes and attacks you. This has been done like to death. It's been done in so many fucking video games. It's ridiculous. It's been done even in fucking Lethal Company, a bunch of these games. So the idea in itself is nothing too original. I think it was the first one to, besides the Doctor Who episode with the weeping angels, I think it was the first one to really popularize it. So maybe we can look at it into different lens, but still, it's a thing that's been done to death. I don't think it's too like grand there, like terrifying. And plus, it just seems like the thing that's pretty easy to trap. Like you can just get a buddy, and like you just look at him, you look away, then you look away. That doesn't seem that scary in my opinion. You could get a solid good minute without blinking, and you could just move, and then blink really quickly, and then it seems like a pretty not very dangerous thing. I think we're gonna put it, for its iconicness, we're gonna put it in C tier. Gonna go over another SCP that I think is one of the most, another big popular one. I think this is much more popular back in the day. This might have been one of the first like SCP, that's really been popular. I remember back in the day, Markiplier used to play this, and the SCP is 087, the stairwell. It's a unlit staircase that just keeps on descending and descending until infinity. It contains, these very monsters with no face, no pupils, no nothing, and they provoke an extreme fear in the observers. People have tried to go down this staircase for infinity, and there's nothing down there. It just goes on to infinity. You know what I like about like these SCP things is that like they make it out like, okay, the guy goes down here and sees this monster with no face, no nothing, and he has this strange thing of having extreme fear. The monster provokes extreme fear. And it's like, yeah, like it's not like they make it out like it's a supernatural thing that this thing provokes fear. No, it's just you see something scary in the darkness you know, whoever you are, you could be fucking Andrew Tate, whatever fucking Sigma bullshit you tell me, you'll still be fearful. It's just whatever, you could put fucking anything down there, it'll be fearful. I really like the idea. There's just this infinite thing that goes down, like, just till infinite. It's a very scary predicament when you imagine yourself in that position. It's also pretty original. You know, this infinite thing hasn't really been done too much, you know, in other games, and it is really the one that popularized it. And it's a beginner one. I mean, we're not even like in the triple digits. We're in 87, and we already get like a banging SCP. I think it's a solid B tier, because I think it's still, there's some other SCPs that just are outclassed in terms of, you know, being interesting and having really strange ideas. This is another one. I think I'm going to go to a little controversial on this one. It's SCP-682, the hard to destroy reptile. A large, highly intelligent, extremely aggressive reptile. You know, it displays incredible adaptability and resistance to any form of, you know, destruction that comes its way. It's impossible to destroy. Shows a deep hatred for any living being, and apparently has some capabilities of speech. The SCP hasn't really been able to terminate it. It's escaped so many fucking times, and it seems to be, you know, almost like if it really wanted to leave, it would leave. You know what I mean? Like, they're sort of the same thing as, like, you put a horse in a, you know, you trap it a little bit with like a couple of like low fences. If it really wanted to leave, it could leave, and no fucking problem. It just doesn't really want to, and wants to stay with you maybe. So I like this thing, the hard to destroy reptile. It's a nice sort of, you know, godlike figure that's impossible to destroy. You know, something that the SCP thing can, you know, really have it's like the big villain, you know, the eldritch horror of the SCP that can come out and wreak havoc at any time it wants. But I still think it's a little, like, sort of unoriginal. Like, I understand we need to have, you know, the community needs to have this big, overarching, you know, sort of, like, impossible to kill villain. But I still think there's, like, a deep lack of unoriginality. I feel like this thing, you know, like, has been done so many times before in media. A hard to destroy, you know, thing or reptile. Oh, that's a little bit, say, apparently supremely intelligent and everything like that, and hates everybody. It's impossible to destroy. You know, I feel like this idea has been done to death. You know, straight from Cthulhu to fucking now. It's, in my opinion, there's that, you know, in the real great SCPs that will go on, there's always that some little, like, thing that's a little different than any other monster, and makes the reason why I believe the SCP monsters as the best written monsters in, like, fiction and everything. Because, I mean, you see, like, the fucking Hollywood shit that they shit out, like all these shitty monsters, the Smile monster. Some of them don't compare to, like, the SCP writing that's just done by fucking community. But still, a lot of unoriginality. There lacks something there that makes it truly deep, I think, in my opinion. The coffee machine, SCP-294. It appears to be a standard coffee vending machine, but it has a keyboard with buttons, and you can choose whatever you want from that coffee machine. It apparently, I think, takes it from some location, and it's a great thing. I think this is such a fun idea. The coffee machine, you put anything in, like you put coffee, it brings you out coffee, and then, like, it kind of has that other horror element, is that we don't really know where it takes this stuff. Because remember, one guy tried to type in beep 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 a cup of Joe, you know, as a, you know, a cup of Joe being another way to say coffee, and it came out with like a pile of blood, and another guy named Joe just died or something like that. Great story. Great in the video games because it's fun, because you can add whatever you want and it'll come out with anything. It's a really fun concept. I really like it. And it's a nice, like, fun element that you need, a little bit of that levity in the SCP Foundation. I think it's a pretty solid A tier, if I'm not mistaken. I might go down to B. It's nothing too crazy. Let's go to A tier. I like it. Now we're on the 5th SCP. This is a great one. SCP-610. The Flesh That Hates. It's a highly infectious disease that transforms any living being into these grotesque, fleshy monstrosities. Victims lose all humanity and become a part of this growing biomass of flesh. It comes from a small village in the middle of nowhere in Siberia, and anybody consumed by this anomaly is hostile and just wants to expand this fleshy, disgusting ecosystem. I think this is a really disgusting, like, body horror one. I feel like you could say it's kind of been done, a lot of times as sort of, biomass or this zombie-like thing. But I like it on multiple angles. First of all, it's being in an isolated location in Siberia, but also, like, it's not just a purely zombie thing of a guy coming back to dead. There's like this. First of all, there's the biomass thing about that. Like, it's all part of apparently one organism. But also the fact that it's like, it's a body part of you that's, like, growing, and it's a really disgusting, I think a much more disgusting image. And I think, if anybody out there, who wants to become a movie director or become a book writer or something like that, they should use this IP, because it is free to use, and it's a great fucking thing. I think we're gonna put it in A tier. Because there is a little bit of that, like, unoriginality when it comes to this zombie thing that's been done already, but still, it's very creative, I think, in all the other parts. So I think it's a tier. Yeah, by the way, I know you're gonna be the fucking comments saying, "Oh, this fucking guy, he put the best SCP right next to the fucking coffee machine." Well, it's the thing is that you have to take it for what they were going for. The coffee guy wasn't the guy who wrote the coffee SCP-1 was not planning to make this crazy monster. He was planning to make a fun SCP, and he succeeded very deeply in that one. And the same thing with the other guy who wanted to make the Flesh That Hates. He really succeeded in creating this grotesque thing. Like, there's two different things, two different sort of, ideas. And I think, you can't really judge a person judge them on the execution, if you will. SCP-96, the Shy Guy. This is a fucking, I'm not going to tell you the list. I'm not going to tell you where I got to put it. I'm going to describe him in myself. It's another famous one, probably the most, except for the statue, probably the most famous one. It's a tall, thin, malnourished, pale humanoid that becomes uncontrollably enraged if its face is seen by anyone, directly or indirectly. Meaning, if you see this guy in a security camera footage, you're dead. If you see this guy in a fucking photo, like, in the fucking distance, you're fucking dead. Once triggered, it's impossible to kill, and it will just pursue you until you die. It has a fucking horrifying scream, and is pretty much unstoppable to kill. This is the type of shit that I fucking dream of, that I wish I could fucking conceive of this thing. I think it's so well fucking written, and it's so perfect. the way that it is written, that you see it anywhere you are, and you're dead, and there's no other way to really kill it. I like it in the game because it's a nice sort of I don't have any other way to say it non-pretentiously, but a nice duality in between the statue, which you need to be constantly looking at, and the shy guy, where it's the opposite. You can't look at it, if not you're dead. And I just like it because it'll just fucking hunt you down. It's so it also represents something about, a lot of people have, is that anxiety to be looked at, and it just elevates that to the fucking extreme. I think you know where this one is going. I think its popularity is well justified, and I think it goes in S tier. In my opinion, one of the best written ones. Just a great idea. Whoever the guy who came up with it is a fucking genius. It's fucking the next Albert Einstein, next Kanye West. I don't know what the fuck I'm saying. Anyway, I'm gonna go on SCP-2521, an entity that can only be described through drawings or gestures, because if any written or spoken word talks about it, the entity will be attracted by it. It steals any information about itself, including the person who shares it, making it impossible to document traditionally. One of the most unique ideas, one of the most unique SCPs that's ever, I think, been conceived. The fact that, you have to, the SCP is a document log, and you can't even fucking document it, is genius. I was thinking about, before making this video, I'm not gonna lie, I was thinking about doing the bit of, saying only describing it, and only, using, these abstract words, but I'm just gonna, I think you've seen that before by probably some other YouTuber who's described it. I'm just gonna go straight up, but this is a fucking genius idea. You can't describe what the entity is, because it will just steal and kill, I believe kill, the person who speaks about it or writes about it, and will just steal that information. It's a fucking genius. It plays on your imagination. Even if you saw this thing in real life and it kills you, you couldn't even leave a document. You couldn't even talk about the information about it. And it kind of plays with your thinking. You could have seen this thing, but you can never talk about it because it'll just steal the information about it. Genius fucking thing. Hats off to the guy who fucking wrote this. That shtick of the YouTuber whenever he talks about, I can't even fucking describe it. I think it's been done to death. I don't want to do that one for this one. But another great one. I think it for me, in my opinion, it fucking plops up right there with the Shy Guy in S tier. I think, honestly, if I'm going to be honest, better than the fucking Shy Guy, in my opinion. SCP-1981, or 1981. Ronald Reagan, cut up while talking. A VHS of a distorted speech by Ronald Reagan, titled Ronald Reagan, cut up while talking. The speech starts out to be normal enough, talking about the evil empire speech, a pretty normal speech, but the more and more that it's played, the more and more that it's watched, the speech becomes increasingly more violent and bizarre, and Ronald Reagan seems to be suffering graphic injuries throughout the clip. I like this one. I don't think it's amazing, but I like it. It's a nice little, small one. A guy finds this VHS tape of Ronald Reagan. It starts out normal enough, and then it gets increasingly weirder, and Ronald Reagan seems to be, in severe pain. I really like this one. It has its own world inside the VHS. I really like it. I like the idea. I feel like it's missing a little bit of that something. I don't really know, to put it in that S tier, but I think it's great for what it did. I think it's an A tier. SCP-3008, the Infinite IKEA. A vast, infinite IKEA store with no exits or no real ending. It goes on till infinity. It contains furniture, food, and a weird, anomalous ecosystem filled with tribes and store clerks that seem to hunt you down. You know, with these weird humanoid IKEA staff members who are normal during the day, but at night seem to hunt you down. You know, and honestly, yeah, I really like this one. I really like the idea of the infinite IKEA. I feel like it's a little like sort of Lord of the Flies. I remember I saw this series. I don't remember what it was called. It's a fucking famous series that has like this cartoons of SCPs or anime, as the youngsters will say. So it was a little anime of SCPs. And it was talking about the infinite IKEA. It's kind of a Lord of the Flies type situation, and I feel like this one is another great one. It plays on that feeling when you were a kid and you went in these big stores like Costco, like Walmart, like IKEA, and just when you were a kid, you just imagined what's the end of this IKEA? What's like the end? Or you would imagine, how would I fucking survive in this IKEA? So it plays on that emotion of just this ginormous space and it being overflown with these terrible, humanoid creatures. I think it's a great one. I really like this SCP. Really creative. Hats off to the guy who made this. I think we're going to put it in A tier. Because I feel like it still is that overplayed, like, okay, they come out, oh, it's normal during the day, but at night they get a little bit quirky, that Five Nights at Freddy's type shit. I feel like there's missing that little something, and I haven't read too much, but I feel like there should be like a purpose or an end goal to the IKEA. I haven't read too much, but I really like it. Nice mystery. The game, I'm not gonna lie, the Roblox game is kind of ass. It's kind of ass. Like, let's not deny ourselves. It's a little ass. Besides that, the idea in itself is good. SCP 035. The Mask. A porcelain comedy mask capable of compelling those who wear it. It induces extreme intelligence and charisma to the person who has the mask, but as soon as the person wears it, as soon as they wear it for a little bit too much, it leads to the wearer's death with a corrosive fluid. The mask seems to be sapient. The mask seems to be sentient, and it manipulates and is capable of influencing the people nearby. Sort of a Lord of the Rings ring type talking to you. Just wear me, and life will be better, and everything like that. I like this idea. This is a sort of thing that comes a lot in media. It's this object that seems to call to somebody, and every time it's used, I think it's used greatly. Let's not deny, whenever you played that Lethal Company game, that fucking mask is just they just fucking ripped off. They ripped off this fucking SCP mask, but it's free. Who cares? It's all free. It's all free to use all this shit. I like this one. I really like this one. I still think it's missing a little bit of that, a little bit of that spice to make it a little bit better. But we're gonna put it in A tier. I still really like the idea. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hopefully you had a great time. Tell me if I got a couple of details mixed up. Also tell me what are your favorite SCPs. I might make a part 2. And I know that I'm going to make a part 2, not exactly of this nature, but I'm thinking about making if it's not already done before, an SCP of each state, but that might take a little bit more time, because then you might need to do a little bit more, deeper research into these SCPs. So thank you so much for watching. Have yourself a good day, and yeah, Merry Christmas. It's almost Christmas now, so Merry Christmas if this is after Christmas, because I do post that evergreen content. Have yourself whatever good holiday, have yourself a good day, treat yourself right. Thank you so much for watching.